Yeah, I confess, Father, I confess, 'cause I've been living wrong.
Where Khabib is good. That's where Khabib is the most competent as. However, Khabib sometimes is a slow starter, and he get punched a lot.
Michael Johnson.
Yes, he didn't look good in the beginning of the fight, and he's hard sometimes to close distance. You have a problem to close the distance, but once he got you in the clinch, he's very good. So I believe the chance, the odds goes on Khabib's favor, like maybe 60-40. I believe.
And despite freaking Khabib being a nightmare stylistic for Conor, I have Conor winning this fight. Oh, you're Conor Dick Rider. Yeah, shut up. I think with his movement, his movement, his striking. When I look at the way these two athletes are, and I look at the movement of Conor, his angles, the quickness of his hands, the dynamics that he has on his feet, and I look at the ways he can win compared to the ways Khabib can win. I think Khabib will get him down. I think Conor will get back up. I think it's a matter of time before Khabib starts to get tired from the takedowns and Conor starts to let those hands loose.
I love it. I love that Conor took this fight, because for Conor this is a very dangerous fight, you know. And the reason I'm saying this is just look at the fight he had with Chad Mendes. Chad Mendes took him to the ground immediately. Well, Nurmagomedov is as good as a wrestler, maybe not, if not better. They're from Dagestan. They only got wrestlers. It's in their heart. It's in their, it's everything. I mean, they grow up there. It's the culture. So, and this guy who never lost, we know. Conor is the striker. He's the submission guy. He's also a striker, and he will have enough defense in order to take him down. If there comes a takedown, that could be big trouble for Conor McGregor. Now, I don't know what Conor has been doing in the meanwhile, but still, if you fight a guy whose father is one of the most famous trainers out there, and who started probably when he was 3 years old wrestling, you know, you can't learn that in a year. Even if you train every day, yeah, you can stop some takedowns, but you know, once the fight is there and punches have been throwing in and, you know, little movements, little feints, it's very hard to stop the takedown. So for Conor to take this fight, you know, for me, I think he has a puncher's chance. Now, the good thing for Conor is that he has incredible timing and incredible accuracy. So if he can land a punch, although Khabib has never been knocked out, but still, he's never been hit by McGregor. McGregor can hit really hard, as we know, because everybody he hits, he destroys. It's like they say in Rocky. It's simple. Thing he hits, he destroys. And so I you know, it's a big fight for him to stay away from the ground for 5 rounds. I look at the Nate Diaz fight as well. You see, once it goes to the ground, so it's a big chance he's taking. But I applaud him for it, because a lot of people thought that probably he was not going to take the fight, since the guy is such a good wrestler and wants to take this fight to the ground.
If right now we're putting money on it, my safe money's on Khabib. Do I think it's interesting for the fact that there's still that one, I mean, out of the 26 fights, that just shows you how good Khabib is. Out of 26 fights, I did see Michael Johnson land one straight left and it kind of hurt him.
Yeah.
And if Conor lands that same straight left, Khabib's going to go to sleep. You know what I mean? Like that left that Conor has, that straight left puts everybody
power
on Queer Street.
And lightning fast.
Well, maybe that's a knockout Khabib, but it's going to hurt him.
Yeah.
And that could really change the outcome of a round and cause some problems. That being said, but you got to think that Khabib knows that the straight left coming down the middle is the only shot that really Conor has to really win the fight and early. If that's a lot that Conor has to hope lines up. You know, if I was Khabib, just grind him at first round, avoid the just clinch him. Don't even take a shot. Clinch with him, walk him against the cage. You can make it ugly if you want. Grind him, because we know that Conor has those really high octane anaerobic type musculature, which allows him to be extremely powerful and quick, but he burns out. You know, we've seen it in fights before where if he gets in those grinding fights, like he did in the second fight with Nate Diaz, that fight, I mean, in the third round, he was backpedaling. He looked like he was ready to fall on his face. And Nate Diaz can't put the same amount of pressure that Khabib can put on him, you know? So if he thought that was bad, it's going to be worse. So, yeah, I think that it's going to be, it's a pretty, I think, safe bet to say that, it's a Khabib fight. Conor does have that one, that puncher's chance. If anybody has it, it's him.
What's your opinion on that fight? When you first heard it, Where are we at on that?
When I heard it a while ago and didn't think it was going to happen, my money was on Khabib.
Yeah.
After Khabib's last performance against Al, I know Al's a good guy, a good fighter as well too.
Amazing fighter.
I just don't think his stand-up's there.
No,
I just don't.
I agree.
I feel like Conor's just got that left hand. He's fast. He's going to be able to use his angles, his crazy kicks,
His footwork.
And I've always underestimated the guy. And then he's
Conor?
yeah. Like Eddie Alvarez. Oh, Eddie Alvarez is going to run through.
I know.
him.
I thought it was a terrible
Boom.
matchup for him.
You know, Jose Aldo's going to beat him.
I know.
You know.
I look at I did the exact same thing before Khabib fought Al.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I do not want to see Conor fight Khabib.
Yeah.
This is gonna be a terrible matchup for him. And I watched that Al fight. I'm like, oh shit, he's human.
Khabib's slow, man. You know,
for me, the biggest red flag was transitions from striking to grappling.
He shot without setting anything up. Yeah.
And far away, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh shit. Well, Al's a phenomenal fighter, but Conor's movement, is second to none. So he's not going to be there, and that leaves you open to whatever he wants to do with those angles. So it's a good fight.
I thought they were just going to go straight with the Tony versus Conor.
Me too.
It's smart for Conor to sit back on that.
Might as well.
You know, he's going to lose versus Tony for sure. I mean,
think?
Yeah. I don't see no way he beats. I just don't see him beating Tony Ferguson.
You see him beating Khabib?
I see him beating Khabib a lot easier than Tony.
Wow, I disagree.
You know, a lot of people say that. A lot of people are high on Khabib. I don't know, man. I just
You've been calling Khabib out since
I've been calling Khabib out for years, bro. Years, bro.
You just see holes in his game.
They know. You know, I know his manager real good, Ali.
Really?
They know. I got the juice for him. So I'm on his head. As soon as he does good. He picks the right matchups for him.
He's had good matchups. I'll give you that.
Khabib's got a lot of holes in his game. You know,
and
his footwork's terrible. His striking is terrible.
But his grappling is tough.
It's brutal.
It's tough.
But you just have to keep moving. You have to keep moving. You gotta not let him settle. I think that's what Tony's gonna do. I think Conor would sleep him. I think he would sleep Khabib.
Damn. See,
I mean, I'm going out on a limb here.
I hear you.
He sleeps Khabib. He stands a much better chance versus Khabib than Tony.
I like his chances more. They're both tough fights. He'll probably be an underdog in both the fights. But I think against Tony Ferguson, Tony does get hit. Tony will play that game and will take a chance with striking with Conor, which is those first 2 rounds are going to be a doozy for Tony. Khabib really doesn't mess with it. He's just going to shoot right away or get an underhook on Conor. And then he gets nasty on the ground.
But I think the difference is that Tony kind of approaches the fight knowing he's going to get hit.
Yeah.
You know, even when you hit him clean, he still rolls with it a little bit. You know, he's got that experience through boxing and through a lot of years of kickboxing, you could tell. It seems when Khabib gets hit, he doesn't really expect it. He's just trying to push forward. Those are the punches, I think, that sting you a lot more. You see, Khabib will stop in his tracks because he's coming straight forward. And against somebody with a left hand like that, I don't know. I like Tony's style a little bit better for it. Tony's a little more elusive. Even though Tony does get hit, he moves well with the punches.
He has better distance control. Yeah. And then also forget too, if the going gets rough for Tony, he can wrestle.
Yeah, exactly. He can wrestle. He can wrestle really well from the bottom too. He did a lot of sneaky things from the bottom that you just don't see anybody else doing. So I think that's the fight to make right now, if anything, because Conor's going to sit out on it. Conor's going to be smart. Make Tony versus Khabib. Winner fights Conor. And then
you think Conor fights again?
And then I'll whoop Conor's ass at the end of this year.
You think Conor fights again?
Absolutely. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I don't see why people were even saying that he wasn't. Yeah. You got $100 million. You can blow through that shit quick.
Oh, yeah.
You can blow through that shit quick.
Yeah.
He like the IA. Like, he be moving.
Depending on what you like.
Yeah, he likes to move. And the man's only, 27, 28?
No, he's 29 now.
29?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
how old are you?
I'm 25.
Yeah.
Damn, so I'm I'm about to catch up to his ass. Watch, he ain't got nothing but some years on me.
Yeah, you're
I'm
young,
telling
man.
you, boy. Watch.
I think odds are in Conor's favor because it starts standing every round, and unless Khabib can take him down over and over and over again, right off the bat, I think the power's gonna be a little much.
Wow, so you got Conor in this. You think his stand-up is gonna?
I mean, I could be on the fence on this one because Khabib could take him down 100 times too.
Just hold him down.
Yeah, but the Mystic Mac has that little. He beat some good Chad Mendez, Jose Aldo. Like those guys don't get knocked out often.
Eddie Alvarez,
Eddie Alvarez. A lot of tough guys.
So if you're a betting man, you're going with Conor.
I think so.
ground.
When I look at that fight, I think Khabib kicks his ass. I've always thought Khabib would kick his ass. I always thought Khabib would just go take him down and beat him up. I'm then confronted with the evidence that Chad Mendes also took him down but failed to beat him up. I'm also confronted with the evidence that I thought Jose Aldo would go out there and expose Conor and beat him up. I'm confronted with the fact that I thought Eddie Alvarez was going to go out there and beat him up. Well, when you look at Conor, you are left with the question, just how good is he, right? I do agree when you look at it. Yeah, it looks like Khabib can keep up with his conditioning. Khabib can pressure him. Khabib can take him down, keep him there, beat him up. Because we've seen Khabib do those things to so many other great guys. But we've seen Chad Mendes do it as well, and Chad Mendes had a very, very hard time keeping Conor down, and I can't tell you why. Some of those guys are slippery down there. Some of those guys just know how to move their hips. Some of those guys know how to turn and adjust and scramble and get back to their feet. And I'm not sure we know the answer to the question of how good is Conor. I'll tell you right now, I think he's in over his head.
Styles are matchup. So I think if Khabib does not correct the mistake of sitting back with his chin back and going to the side, Conor's going to put his lights out with that left hand pretty bad, pretty quickly. So he needs to correct that mistake, and he needs to learn to relax in the pocket and know that he's safe. Until he does that, he's always in danger of getting beat by a guy with knockout power like Conor McGregor. But Conor McGregor on his back, I don't feel like he has look from the past, looking at everything, I don't feel like he has a strong spirit for fighting on the ground. So some guys have a real strong spirit. They can stand up all day for 5-10 rounds as long as they're standing up. But when it goes to the ground, their spirit weakens. So I don't think Conor has a strong enough spirit to be able to withstand Khabib's ground attack over and over and over and over.
Can Conor catch him? Can Conor catch him while he's coming in?
Yeah.
And if Conor can catch him, look, Conor can knock anybody out.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you see what he did to Eddie Alvarez. You see what he did to Aldo. Nobody had ever done that to Aldo before.
That's the best strikers in the division.
Yeah. And what Conor has is incredible precision and the ability
he's so fast.
So fast.
His speed, his angles, he moves, create an angle, and he just counter the shit out of the guys, and yeah, that's all he needs.
He also moves unusual. He moves almost like a karate guy.
Yeah, he does.
You know, like wide stance, but then knocks you out like a real pro boxer. Like
the only thing I'm doubting on Conor. Yeah, you know, he's the best striker and all of that, but does he have the conditioning for Khabib?
That's a good question.
Khabib, he just keeps going and just
different animal.
Yeah,
and it's also the wrestling.
Yeah,
like Khabib's wrestling is not just a level above everybody else, but multiple levels.
Yeah,
like he just.
I heard like heavy guys. I'm talking about heavyweights talking about Khabib's pressure on the ground, being on top.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, taking that side belt, that seat belt around, taking his hands, moving that leg up. You know, just neutrals the guy totally. So,
Luke Rockhold said he never loses a round in training.
Oh, he said?
He said he doesn't lose a round.
Yeah, I confess, Father, I confess, 'cause I've been living wrong.